All right, I will say good evening, let us begin. So we are picking up in Eretz Hashem. We left off in the middle of Yud Amud Aleph. Darish Rav Simi Bar Ukva. Right? So in the, I'm trying to think the best way, here, let's just do this. It is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23 lines up from the bottom. 23 lines up from the bottom. So also the Gemara says, beautiful Gemara. Simi Bar Ukva, V'amili Bar Ukva, Havishchiach Tmei Rav Shimon Pazi. So Simi Bar Ukva, others say it was Mar Ukva, were common to be found before Rav Shimon ben Pazi. V'hava Mesader Agadata Kamed Rabbi Shmuel ben Levi. And ultimately, again, they would arrange their Agadic teachings in front of Rabbi Shmuel ben Levi. Amarlei, Mai Dichsiv Barchi Nafshi Es Hashem V'chol Karavai Et Shem Kadsho. What's the meaning of the pasuk? Literally, again, my soul will bless Hashem. V'chol Karavai. V'chol Karavai literally means, and all of my insides will bless His great name. Amarlei, Bo'urei Shlok Midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Midas Bas V'Adam. It's so beautiful. See how the Ribono Shel Olam is so fundamentally different than man. How so? Midas Basar V'Adam. So when it comes to man, so Midas Basar V'Adam, Tsar Tzura Gabi HaKosel, Ve'en Yochel HaHatel Ba'Ruach HaNeshama, Kravaim Ubnei Me'ayim. You know, if a person draws an image, so what happens? That image is one-dimensional, right? Or even if the image is two-dimensional, three-dimensional, right? A person cannot go ahead and breathe life into an image, right? He can't insert a life force, he can't insert a heart, a ruach, and a neshama. HaKadosh Baruch Hu ain't okay. Yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so different. How so? Because Tsar Tzura B'Soch Tzura, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a form within a form. Now, what is that a reference to? That's a reference to a child in utero, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes the mother, and then makes a child inside of the mother. Umatul ba ruach uneshama kravaim ubnei me'ayim. And yet again, so we'll say not only is HaKadosh Baruch Hu able to make a form and breathe life into that form, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu can make a form inside of a form, right, and breathe life into that inner form as well. V'hainu da'amri Chana, and this is what Chana, the mother of Shmuel, said in Kadosh Kashem ki ein biltecha. There is no one who is as holy as HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for no one is like him. Ve'ein tzur ke'elokenu. And literally again, there is no rock. There is no rock like our God. My ein tzur ke'elokenu. What does it mean there's no rock like my God? Ein tzayer ke'elokenu. Ultimately, again, there's no artist. Tzayer literally means like an artist. Like the Ribono Shel Olam is the great master artist. He's able to create things that no one else could create. My ki ein biltecha. What does it mean ultimately, again, for there is no one like you? Am Rabbi Yehuda bar Menasya, al tikri ki ein biltecha, ela ein lavlosecha. What does it mean, ein biltecha? It means lavlosecha. What does lavlosecha mean? This is beautiful. Shelo kamidas HaKadosh Baruch Hu midas basar v'adam. God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is so different than man. How so? Midas basar v'adam, masi yodav mevalenoso. When it comes to people, right? When it comes to flesh and blood, so normally whatever you create outlives you, right? Like on a basic level, a person has children, and my children, in Eretz Hashem, we daven. Of course, like this, my children will outlive me. They outlive me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevala masiv. HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates things, and yet the Ribono Shel Olam outlives every single thing that He creates. Fascinating idea. Amarle ana hachi kamin. This is what I mean to say. Hani chamisha barchi nafshi kineged mi amran David. David said 5 barchi nafshis. Why 5 barchi nafshis? What do 5 barchi nafshis correspond to? So the Gemara says, kineged mi amran David, lo amran ela kineged HaKadosh Baruch Hu, u kineged neshama. Ultimately, again, he said the 5 barchi nafshis corresponding to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to the neshama. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu malo kol ha'olam. Just as HaKadosh Baruch Hu fills the entire world. Af neshama malaya es kol haguf. So too the neshama fills the entire body. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu roa ve'eno nira. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is able to see but cannot be seen. Af ha-neshama roa ve'eno niris. So too the neshama could see but can't be seen. It's a very profound idea. The Ribono Shel Olam could see, but we can't see him. The neshama could see, but yet we can't see it. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu zanas kol ha'olam kulo. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu sustains the entire world. Af ha-neshama zanas kol haguf. So too the soul sustains the entire body. Let's say, what an incredible and beautiful idea. It is the soul which sustains all life. And the same way, again, none of us would think about depriving our body of things that the body needs in order to be healthy. So also we have to take the same approach with the neshama as well. If life depends on the neshama, then I have to make sure that I'm giving the neshama whatever it needs to be happy and healthy as well. It's incredible. So the Gemara says, just like the Rebbe Shalom is tar, is pure, af ha-neshama tahora. So too the neshama is pure as well. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu sits, like in an inner sanctum hidden away. Af ha-neshama yoshev bechedrei chadarim. So too the neshama ultimately sits in the inner sanctum of man as well. So what you see over here is 5 barchi nafshis corresponding to the 5 similarities between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the neshama. It's a beautiful idea. Yavo mi sheyesh bo chamisha dvarim halalu, v'yishabeach lemi sheyesh bo chamisha dvarim halalu. Let he who possesses these 5 qualities, he being a reference to David HaMelech, or any person who possesses a neshama, and therefore again possesses all 5 of these qualities, and give praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who possesses these same 5 qualities as well. So beautiful. Amr of Hamnuna. Both say this is an incredible, incredible story. Amr of Hamnuna. Mai dichsiv mi kachacham umi yodea pesha davar. So ultimately, what's the meaning of the pasuk? Both say it's actually a beautiful pasuk. A beautiful pasuk quoted from Koheles. Literally, mi kachacham umi yodea pesha davar. Who is like the wise one who knows how to make pshara, who knows how to make a compromise? So what does this mean? Mika Kodesh Baruch Hu sheodea lasos pshara ben shnei tzadikim. Who is like Hashem? For the Rebbe Shalom knows how to go ahead and make a pshara, make a compromise between 2 tzadikim. Which 2 tzadikim does the Kodesh Baruch Hu know how to make a compromise between? Listen to this: Ben Chizkiyo li Yeshayahu. So I will say there was a fallout. Remember again, Chizkiyo. I spoke about this on Daf Yomi on Shabbos. Not on Shabbos. Yesterday, Sunday. So Chizkiyo, right? Chizkiyo was the king of Yehuda. Chizkiyo was an incredible tzaddik. Incredible tzaddik. Only one issue, he did not, and Yeshayahu was the Navi, incredible tzaddik. Only problem is they did not like each other. They did not get along. They didn't get along. So what happened? So Chizkiyo Amar, Leisi Yeshayahu Gabai, Da'achi Ashkechan Be'elio, Da'azla Gabai Achav. So Chizkiyo said, listen, I'm the king. The prophet should come to see me. Prophet should come to me. That's derech eretz. It's covered. Again, whenever people are worried about covet, like no one's ever worried about their own covet. It's not about my covet, right? It's about the covet of the office, about the position, about the this and that. So Chizkiyahu says it's only appropriate that the Navi Yeshayahu come to see me. After all, we find that Eliyahu, the Navi, went before Achav, even though Achav was a Rasha. Yeshayahu Amar Leisi Chizkiyahu Gabai. Yeshayahu the Navi said, no, the king should come to see me. I'm the Navi. Da'achi Ashkechan be Yehoram ben Achav da'azal lagabi Elisha. Because after all, we find this by Yehoram, the son of Achav, who went to Elisha. Sama asa Kodesh Baruch Hu. What did the Ribono Shel Olam do? Hevi Yisurim al Chizkiyahu. Ultimately, again, he brought suffering upon Chizkiyahu. Varmal Yeshayahu lech ubaker esachola. So this is incredible. So what happens? So he says to Chizkiyahu, so what did Akash Baruch Hu do? He made Chizkiyahu ill, and he tells Yeshayahu, go and visit Chizkiyahu. It's Bikur Cholim. Now what changed? It's a mitzvah. So now suddenly again, it's not about who should do what. He's sick, it's supposed to be Cholim. Say, by the way, this is actually a profound insight into conflict resolution. The best way to resolve conflict is in a way that doesn't make someone else have to swallow their pride. In general, when you give most people like a choice between ego and shalom, they're going to choose ego. But if you give people a path forward that allows them to keep their ego intact, but still have shalom, they'll take it. So it's interesting, right? So Yeshayahu is not going to visit Chizkiyahu because I'm the prophet, the king should come to me. But suddenly again, if it's Bikur Cholim, it's okay. I could budge. I could move. I could pivot, but it doesn't have to come at the expense of my covet. It's really a profound idea. If you're ever in a position of trying to affect conflict resolution between different parties, again, if you're going to force someone to swallow their pride, chances are you're not going to really get them to the table. But if you have a solution that allows everyone's ego to remain intact, but somehow everyone is able to go ahead and yield a little bit without yielding the ego, Baruch Hashem, you could make a lot of shalom like that. Really incredible yisod. So what happens? So Shneimar b'yam v'heim chaluk Chizkiyahu lamos v'yava lav Yishaya ben Amos hanavi v'yomer alav kamar Hashem. So what happens? So okay, so this is where it goes on. So Yeshayahu shows up, biker cholim to Chizkiyahu. And what happened? He says, so listen to this. So Yeshayahu shows up, and what's the first thing he says? Vayomer elav kamar Hashem tzivakos sav leveisecha ki meis ata v'lo sechaya. So we'll say, so do not try this when you do Bikur Cholim, right? You know, there is, right? Oh, you look terrible. You really should get your affairs in order because it doesn't look like you're going to last much longer, right? So that's what Yeshayahu said to Chizkiyahu. He said, God said you're going to die. God said you're going to die, so you really better get your affairs in order. So the Gemara says, "My ki atames v'lo sechaya." So what? By the way, also it's redundant. What does it mean when Yeshayahu says you're going to die and you're not going to live? Meis ata ba'olam hazeh v'lo sechaya la'olam haba. So I will say, not only did Yeshaya tell Chizkiyahu that he's going to die, but he said, by the way, your life in this world is coming to an end, and by the way, you also have no portion in the afterlife. Right? So this is what Yeshayahu said to Chizkiyahu. So Amrle, my kulehai. Right? So essentially Chizkiyahu, what does Chizkiyahu say about Yeshayahu? It's like, well, shalom aleichem to you too. You know, what are you talking about? Like Chizkiyahu is obviously astounded by this, astounded by the dua. First, astounded by like, what did I do that I'm going to die? And number two, what do you mean I don't have a portion in the world to come? Like, what does that mean? My kuli hai. Listen to this. We'll say, Amrlei, mishum dula sakta beperi v'rivya. Let's listen to this. Yeshayahu said, you know why you're going to die? You don't have a portion in the world to come? Because you never tried to have a family. Chizkiyahu didn't marry. He didn't try to have a family. Because you never attempted to have a family, therefore, again, you've abdicated your portion in this world and in the world to come. Amrale, 1 second. So Chizkiyahu says, Yeshayahu, let me explain. Mishum dechazoi li barach HaKodesh, denafik minoi b'nin dolomalu. I saw prophetically that if I have a son, my son is going to be a terrible Rasha. He's going to be very evil. So I made the calculated decision that it is better to deprive myself of having a family than to bring a Rasha into the world. So understand, it's not that I've been derelict in my responsibilities. It's that I it was a cost-benefit analysis. I could go ahead and have a family, I'll bring another Russia into the world, or save the world from another Russia. So this is incredible. Amrlei, bahadikavshei dirachmana lamalach. Listen to this. You know what Yeshayahu says? Essentially to Chizkiyahu, mind your own business. Mind your own business. Why are you involving yourself in the way that Hashem runs the world? What's your job you should do, and what's God's job he should do. I will say such a profound yisod, that it's interesting. Yeshayahu is not telling Chizkiyahu that he's wrong. By the way, Chizkiyahu wasn't wrong. He does have a son. We'll see. He was right. But what Yeshayahu was saying was, your job is not to figure out how God runs the world or why God runs the world or try to be a partner in God running the world. That's not your job. Your job is to do your job. And what's your job? There's Torah, there's mitzvos, there's a mitzvah pir v'rivya, to get married, to try to have a family. That's your job. Don't involve yourself in other things. What Shabbos says is also such a profound yisod. Things happen in life and we spend so much time trying to figure out why this and why that and how could God do this and how could God do that. And the questions are excellent questions. They are. And they're legitimate questions. But it is a profound exercise in futility. For one simple reason. You're not going to figure out why God does things and how God runs the world. And instead what ends up happening is it becomes a theologically, philosophically, what's the right word I'm looking for? Frustrating experience. Because a person has all these questions, which are all great questions, but there's an answer. There's an answer to every question, but I'm not going to get that answer. That's why it's interesting that, David HaMelech, we'll see this later on, but David HaMelech teaches us that the Jew doesn't really ask why. Instead, the Jew asks what. What? I'm not going to try to figure out the why, because the why I don't know. But the what is, what do I do with these circumstances? These are the circumstances I'm in. This is the Berachos created for me. I could try to figure out the why. What did I do? How did I do it? Where did I go wrong? And one should do that cheshbon nefesh. But the why, it's not my avoda to figure out why God does things. My avoda is to figure out what should I do in the circumstances in which I find myself. So he looks what he says. Amrlei, listen to this. So Chizkiyahu says, fine. I'm a kabel. I accept. Listen to this. Amrlei hashta havli barteich afshad the garma zuchusa didi vedidach vedinafki minai benima dimalu. So Chizkiyahu has a great idea. So listen, Yeshayahu, you have a single daughter. So I want to propose a shidduch. I'll marry your daughter. That's a good shidduch. And maybe again, my righteousness and your righteousness, right, could combine. And maybe again, when we have offspring, they'll be righteous. So listen to this. Yeshayahu is not the guy you want coming at your bedside, by the way. Listen to what he says. Amrlei, kavar nigzera alecha gzeira. He said, I told you, you're going to die. I already told you already. Right, you don't hear me? I told you already, you're going to die. You're going to die. It's done, right? The decree is sealed. There's nothing to talk about. What happened? It was incredible. Amrlei ben Amos. Kalin of Uasech v'sei. So listen to this. At this point, Chizkiyahu loses a little bit. And he says, Ben Amos. So he doesn't even call him Mishael. He calls him son of Amos. Stop prophesizing and get out. Stop prophesizing and get out. Well, say, listen to this next line. Kach mikublani. This is my favorite line in all the Shas. Kach mikublani v'esavi abba. I have the following tradition from my grandfather's home. We'll say, which grandfather is he referring to? David HaMelech, King David. I have the following tradition from my father's home. Afilu cherev chada munacha al tzavaro shel adam. Even if there is a sharp sword resting against someone's neck, al yimana atzmo min arachamim. He should not despair from requesting divine assistance, divine mercy. In other words, what Chizkiyahu was saying was, it's never too late. Don't tell me it's too late. It's never too late. Now, does it mean that I could change things? I don't know what I could do, but I know that I definitely have the ability to try, and I have a mandate to try. Even if a sharp sword is on your neck, do not give up hope that you have the ability to affect change. Incredible. And I will say, where did he get this from? David HaMelech. What was all of David HaMelech's life? David HaMelech faced so much adversity and so much difficulty and so many overwhelming circumstances and situations. But the one thing that David always believed is that as long as you breathe, you have the ability to affect change. The Gemara goes on, Itmar nami amar Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi da amri tarvayo afilu cherev chada munachas al tzavaro shel adam. And again, I will say this was a saying that people adopted, even if there's a sharp sword against your neck. Do not go ahead, do not despair, do not give up of requesting divine compassion. Even if they kill me, ultimately, again, I will put my trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I will say, an incredible story. Now, by the way, what's the end of the story? Actually, we will see. Let's see. Let's go. You don't have base 10b. Let's begin. We'll begin a little bit next Amud, because once again, it's another long page. Rav Chanan says, taking this a step further, Afilu bala chalomos omer lo adam lemachar humeis. But let's say even bala chalomos. Now, by the way, who is the bala chalomos? So bala chalomos could either be a navi, a prophet, or it could be a malach, an angel. See, if the angel or the navi tells you tomorrow you're going to die, al yimana asmein arachamim. Let's say this is such an incredible yisod. Like at the end of the day, the power of the Jew is you don't give up. I don't give up. But the Navi told me I'm going to die tomorrow. The Navi told me it's all over. The Navi told me I can't affect change. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, you cannot go ahead and give up. So I will say, fine, what happened? Miyad. So now remember again, at this point now, Yeshayahu is kind of like done with Chizkiyahu. He's like, you're going to die. This world, next world, you're done. Chizkiyahu says, get out, because I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. So what happens next? Miyad, vayaseh Chizkiyahu panav al akir. Vayispal Hashem. Chizkiyahu turns to the wall, and he davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My kir, what does it mean turn to the wall? Amar Shimon Lakish said, Mikiros libo. He davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, literally again from the depths of his heart. Shne'emar, Me'ai ochila kiros libi. Levi Amar Levi says, Al iske hakir. He davened regarding matters of the wall. What does this mean? Amar Lefan Ribono Shalom. Umashu namis shalo asta elakir achas kitana. Hecheyisa esbina. The Shunammite woman who built a small little apartment, built a small room for Elisha, the prophet Elisha. And in that sukkos, when her son passed away, Elisha brought her son back to life. Avi Abba, my grandfather, Shlomo, shechafa saheichal kula bekesef, right? Kula bekesef ubezav, alachas kama bekama. So my grandfather, who went ahead and built you a beautiful Beis Hamikdash, right? So in other words, if in the schus of building one room, you brought the Shunammite woman's son back to life. That in the schus of my grandfather, who built you not just the room, but built you an entire home, at the end of the day, certainly you should be able to restore me back to health as well. All right, but you know what? We'll stop over here for tonight. Again, leaving a little on the cliffhanger. The story is not over, but the Sefer Chizkiyahu will continue tomorrow, and we're going to use this actually as a springboard to a much broader story about Chizkiyahu's life, about the things that he accomplished that the rabbis agreed with, the things they didn't agree with, and of course, we'll see what actually happens. Does Chizkiyahu survive? Does he marry? Does he have offspring? All to be continued tomorrow. Shkaya Chavra.